Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing? Happy New Year to all. I hope 2023 brings you nothing but good tidings, soft wedge, easy life, great start to relationships, both new and old, a time to reconcile differences with people you have formerly fallen out with, the others that are irreconcilable, as in people who you just couldn't be arsed with. Let it go, like water splashing off rocks. It's me, your main man, through thick and thin, Maloney's Digest. I hope you've all had a very nice Christmas. I had quite a nice Christmas. I meant to do a Christmas Eve stream, Christmas Day stream, New Year's Eve stream, but alas, didn't get much of a chance to do it. But I would like to thank those of you who have donated or tipped on PayPal. Most notably, CM Fox, Barry Brennan, Joseph Sullivan, Garrett Linham, Amanda, and Roisin, that was going back in November. But I just wanted to say thank you very much for that generous contribution over the Christmas. It was very well appreciated and fucking came in very handy. The life of an actor. Ooh, acting's a bit of a weird one because it doesn't matter how talented you are or how handy you are at the game of going, oh my god, I am now in a crime drama. RTE crime drama. Oh my god, someone's just been blasted outside Rialto. Fuck me, man. All that kind of stuff. Or like, oh, Contagion or whatever. Yes. So, nice to get a new agent this year because my other agents, don't know. I haven't bothered with them. Dr. David, welcome to the show. But yeah, see, the thing is, I don't really agree with the world of show business because it's kind of a certain mindset where if you rock the boat, it's like too controversial. Oh, but we'll see anyway. So let's see. We got Mike Higgins, Barry Brennan. How are you, ba? Paj Mahaj, Kevin Murphy, WB 1990, Dr. David, Quinn Hensley, Lico Beast, Trevor Brennan, Shawnee. Lovely stream you posted with Dr. Dave, says Shawnee, and in regards to the Dom Jolly episode, we do. I've scheduled the next one for Wednesday at midday Central European time. Texas Pete, Richard Corcoran, TQ, Toby Laroni. Yes, we're up to date with. Oh, yeah, we're up to date with who's in the chat at the moment. But just watched your Dom Jolly episode. Well, Richard, what did you think? Did you enjoy it? Did you? Were you a fan of it? Art should have no boundaries. Do you and Tornoff not get on anymore, man? There's been no like words of beef between us. Just he doesn't really get in contact with any of us as far as I'm aware. So I just stopped trying to get in touch with him because he never gets back anyway. He's very much immersed in his own world. He lives on the internet. He has become the Lawnmower Man, featuring Pierce Brosnan. Yeah, Dom Jolly, that interview, I have to say, he was a fantastic guest to have on. He's a really nice guy. Thoroughly enjoyed talking to him. A big thank you to Dr. David for toiling away behind the scenes on that. Gavin Phelan, nice beanie, Maloney. I've had this. This is a very old beanie I've had for many moons. You can actually see it's got loads of holes in it. But I like that. Gives it a bit of fucking rustic charm. The annual 6 featuring Boy George Man, says Mike Higgins. He has become an interman, says TQ. He lives in the optical fiber world of the mesosphere, the online world of memes and shit, I guess. I hope you all had a nice Christmas and a nice New Year's. There was a couple of fucking scoops taken, all right. Oh, such a bit of scooping. Beautiful bit of scooping was had, actually. Cozy old scooping. Bit of fucking Baileys, bit of whiskey in it, just to really give it the touch. Okay, Mr. Delaney, will you say well to Gav? He's watching in the same room as me. Oh, Gav, hey, big man on campus now, hey. I'm talking to you through the TV, live. Oh, would you not fucking be waving at me through the other side of the telly? Oh, did you ever watch Big Brave with fucking Jim Davison and John Parrott, man? John Virgo, all the boys. It's only a game show. Yes. You're filthy. Howie Martini, man, from Colorado again. Good on you, old Colorado boys. The color red, if you will. Irish Red, speaking of red. Maloney's Digest was just watching the Dom Jolly interview. Excellent, bro. Don't just thank me. Thank Dr. David. And fair play to Dr. David. He provided the cliff notes just to keep the ball rolling. He toiled very, very well behind the scenes. So big props to my main man, Dr. David. Alan S., Happy New Year to you, Martin. Having a chamomile tea and some Pringles. I mean, you've got soothing elements of the chamomile, but the comforting elements. And I could imagine, it's a bit of a guess, but is it sour cream flavor? JR, who's the main man, yeah? Yo, could do without him. Ooh, says Texas Pete. My brother lives in Fort Collins, Colorado, says Texas Pete. There would have been a fort there, started by one of the Collinses. CM Fox, how are you doing, sir? Thank you very much for your generosity. I really do appreciate it, mate. You're a good lad. Good fucking solid skin. Solid as a rock. I've been hitting the gym again. Well, that didn't do much. I spent a good 2 hours in the gym yesterday doing kick drills and really getting the hips into the jabs, man. I see fucking Dapper Laughs looking for a 40-year-old YouTuber to go fighting. Oh, Dapper Laughs. He was the guy who used to go around going, proper moist, she knows. And he went a bit too far at a stand-up gig once. And then he found himself on Newsnight with Emily Matus making rapey jokes. I often think about how he handled that. He's like, I mean, you don't understand how my laugh was ruined. You know, it was ruined. Like he should have just continued on and be like, whoa, you're proper moist. She knows. Way into the camera. And then probably the interview would have just been scrapped. You're a filthy good lad. I went to school there for a bit. Fort Collins. You know it, big man, says Alan S. Classic sour cream and onion. They are. Have you stopped? Because they say, you know, once you pop, you can't stop. I suppose it's a bit like heroin, and it takes a while to get off that shit. However, there does come a time. I mean, whatever I don't know if it's the texture, something in the flavoring of Pringles that just makes you keep wanting to eat them. But you get to a certain stage, you're like, I'm a bit bored of this now. There's only so much Pringles I can have, but it will be offset with the I was going to say the tart, but it's more of a kind of a dryness of the chamomile tea, herbal dryness, if you will. Toby Laroni, you've been training since you was a boy. Don't think anyone else should fight you in that scene. Oh, I'll do some press-ups to counteract the cholesterol, says Alan S. You can do this. You can do this. I'm actually going to invite anyone who wants to come on for a chat. I was thinking about reading out the latest stateside messages. Might wait until Dr. David comes in. I mean, I haven't looked. Stateside he's figured out how to send disappearing messages. That I would say disconcerting messages. He's probably got some ass selfies of him humping the bed or something, but might try and get Stateside on. Just ask him, what's he doing? Why? He sent me a message recently going, Morton, I want sex off you. And I was like, he really has crossed the Rubicon of attention-seeking / trolling. So, yeah. Texas Pete said, what's sad here in the States? Everything almost has fentanyl in it, killing people. Where is it coming from? Why are they bringing it in? Does it? I mean, like, what's the point in that shit? Like, is it like cheap, like a knockoff synthesized version of heroin? It's really doing a number on the place over there. Cheers for bringing the fucking mood down there, Texas Pete. Talking about ODing lads on fucking Kensington in Philadelphia. I've seen some mad stuff, man. Stay green, Ponyboy says, I'm worried about you, man. Stateside. Oh ho ho. The cartels. Oh, come here, Martin. I was down in fucking New Mexico there talking to some lads who are in the cartel. They gave me a line of this fentanyl stuff. Didn't do anything to me, man. Just kept me asleep all night. Paj Mihaj says, America is in bits, isn't it? It really is. You know, I'd say that there was always dodgy, weird shit going on behind the scenes. for years, man. You know, like CIA and dodgy fucking characters like that, who were basically, you know, I think that there was a somewhere along the line, especially if you listen to this lady called Whitney Webb, who's been writing very interesting books about Epstein and whatnot. But somewhere, I think around J. Edgar Hoover, the intelligence agencies worked with the mob, and the mob used to use entrapment and that kind of thing. So somewhere along the line, they turned into the one thing that they were trying to fight. And now the veneer is off. It's kind of almost like the end of the Soviet Union, when, you know, you had people who were, they knew it was all a load of nonsense, but they went along. And apparently, like, the end of the Soviet Union was just when a tank fired 2 shots into a government building, I think in Moscow, and that was it. The terror of that whole apparatus didn't come down with a big kind of fanfare and people out on the streets cheering that, you know, it's the end of a bloody and, you know, oppressive regime. It was just like, well, yeah, I guess that marks the end of that. Alan S. said she's a fantastic researcher. She really is. Fair play to her. Dodgy lad, says Toby Laroni. Texas Pete said, I think to kill us, which is, I believe, why they would do that. It's bad for business for them. I think it is. Which reminds me of this Sun Tzu Art of War book that I should be reading. But I put up a thing earlier on Twitter, which does sum up what we're dealing with in terms of how the world is these days. And I do, like, be under no illusion that the powers that be view us collectively as the enemy, and I don't know if they hate us, or it's just basically they certainly look down their noses at us and think there's too many of us and want us to basically systematically kill each other in synthesized scenarios, which is very depressing, really. And I don't know why I do put so much attention on this kind of thing, but again, you are what you eat, and I do be eating a lot of fucking depressing stuff. Where is this now? Where is it? Let me see. Where is it? I just wanted to look cool by holding up a copy of Paulie Walnuts' favorite book. Hey, Tony, I was reading The Art of War by Sun Tzu. Let me see. I'll read some of your. Let me just check my phone over here 1 second. I can probably just find it from the picture here. I heard 7 lads got bummed at a Lady Gaga concert, man. It was cruel and unusual. Lady Gaga, man. Bit of a wrong'un. She's bit of a wrong'un. Hanging out with that artist present. Bit of a wrong'un. All wrong'uns. A whole collection of wrong'uns. Maybe she did say she'd go over and do some sort of art. Imagine stateside hanging out with Marina Abramovich. He'd be like, yeah, Martin, they're a bit fucking weird, eh? They just started, like, pouring olive oil on my breasts. Yeah, and then, like, maybe part of one of her, like, exhibitions would be stateside just sits on her face with no jocks on for, like, 3 days. People just come and look at it and interpret it like this. Wow, this is fantastic. And you could, maybe she could call it hyper deflation or something. I don't know, but it's a good concept. We should reach out to the avant-garde, bizarre, black magic, weird shit artist herself. Let me see. Sean Mack. I like Sean Mack. I don't know if he follows me here on Twitter. Just started reading The Sovereign Individual Base. Add it to your list if you haven't already. The Sovereign Individual Base. Check it out. Sean Mack recommends this. And fair play to Sean from Chicago. You're a great presence, Shawnee. A fantastic presence on the old Twitter job. Where is it now? Okay, so Master Sun says, therefore, what restrains competitors is harm. What keeps competitors busy is work. Now, you see, if everyone has to work, and everything is going up in value or in price, and your money is coming down in value, that means you will have to spend more time working, which means you spend more of your time and energy working to pay for things that were a lot more readily available previously. So when people have to just keep working all the time, they don't have the same zeal for life. Um, busy is work. Competitors busy is work. What motivates competitors is profit. Zhang Yu says, put them in a vulnerable position and they will surrender on their own. Another strategy is cause rifts in their ranks, causing harm by wearying them and putting the people out of work. Look at the States. I mean, they are systematically doing that to Europe and the States, putting people out of work. And I think a lot of the time is kind of like most jobs these days require some sort of degree, which unfortunately has, you look at a lot of people who are working in the tech development game, and they're kind of brainwashed by the time they come out of college. But they're doing it to themselves. It's like a Western self-flagellation exercise. Anyone know where a lad could source some green Rockstar Mitzi bombs these days? Says Ronan Daly. I don't know, man. I'll have to order Clover the boys. When's the next Hardy book episode coming out, Martin? Love that podcast. Yeah, I've had one that I was actually going to do that today, but I'm such a procrastinator, and I really just need to grab the bull by the horns and finish that last segment of it. But it'll be very funny, and then hopefully that'll kickstart me getting. See, for me, if I get blocked or something interrupts my rhythm, it's very difficult to get back to that particular thing. Or if I kind of hit a roadblock with it and then I leave it, then it kind of, instead of just jumping onto something else, finishing that and then coming back to it, I kind of get confused. Probably an ADHD thing, and also time is a currency I don't really have in great supply at the moment. Let me see. Irish Red says Whitney Webb has ripped off Ryan Dawson's research work for Epstein. Yeah, I think that as well, because Ryan Dawson has been completely deplatformed, but has the most extensive research done. I was thinking about, she was on Redacted and Glenn Beck. She was talking about her work with her new book. But I think, to be fair, I think she probably was just watching a lot of Ryan Dawson. But I can't say that for certain, but when I was listening to that interview on Redacted the other day, and I was listening to that, I was like, yeah, but Ryan Dawson kind of had all this written out like 2 or 3 years ago, maybe longer. He even had like the map of all the clients that you could buy from him. Texas Pete, wow, we're getting Texas Pete on the stream. Hello, Texas Pete.
What's going on, my friend?
I've got to get these headphones in. Bear with me. Talk away there.
Oh, not much here, lad. Just hanging out here in Texas, enjoying the nice weather.
Peace. Keep talking.
Yes, enjoying the weather. It's been a lot of rain and.
Any word from Ron Paul at all? Is there?
Ron Paul. Funny you mention it.
Hold on a second.
Did you hear any wind?
Oh no, it's fine. I had the volume turned off on the. Oh well, we could also get another lad in. I was actually thinking about getting Peter McCann in for a chat.
Oh sure, why not?
But we can. I'll tee him up 1 second. You know what? I'll just invite him onto the stream. Bear with me now, Papa. Bear with me.
Okay. Get situated over here too.
How are you doing over in Texas? It looks pretty warm there.
It's in this about 60 degrees
Celsius.
No, Fahrenheit.
16 degrees. So
no, 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, okay.
We go by Fahrenheit.
Let me just check out what that is. 60 F in C. 15.5 degrees. Not too bad, Pete. Not too bad at all, mate.
Yeah. It's nice.
What are you up to for the day?
Oh, not much. Got my grandpa's truck. It's a '79 Ford F-150 Classic. Real nice truck.
Yeah.
Fixing it up for him. He had a head gap. No. The head cracked on the motor, and I replaced it and uh, got it started up for him, man. So uh, he's happy with that.
So you fixed up the old man's F-150.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't the head gasket, was it?
No. The head. See the motor got too hot and it cracked. It cracked the head. So I had to get down there in the motor, and not too much, not a very good mechanic, but it took me a few months. So
And how's the spray job? Is it the original paintwork or is it refurbished?
it's been repainted. It's always been a garage kept. It has 60,000 miles on it. But my grandpa put a new paint job on it. It looks grand. Uh, I might be able to walk over there and show it to you here in a minute.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. I mean, show us the fruits of your labor.
Sure, sure.
Where
Uh,
are you chilling out in the shed? Are you?
yeah, yes. You see, let me turn the video around. Let's see, or I'll just turn my camera around. See,
Nice. So that's your little chill out shed, is it?
yeah, my little chill out shed. Got the old tractor here, mate. And
Tell me that,
uh,
Pete. Is that a Case International?
yes, sir, it is.
Ah, I see. The man's been around the wilds of Mayo long enough to know tractors.
Oh, 254.
That's a nice touch, that is. What year is it?
I don't have a clue.
I'm
Uh,
guessing
my
72, but I don't know. I could be off with that.
it's my father's. He comes up here but once in a spell.
And
Uh,
are you growing crops there on the land?
uh, yes. Actually, you can't. Let me see. I'll walk out to it right now. Uh, just last year we put in apple trees, pears, peach, fig trees. Uh, Let me see if I can just turn it around. You won't be able to really see the trees because they've all gone dormant. So
Ah,
it goes out about 500 feet, 500 yards. I mean.
you've got a nice bit of space there. Fair play to you.
Oh yeah, thank you. See the cattle.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Or steers, as you say over there in Texas.
Deer.
Steers.
Oh yes, nice bucks.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. I killed a nice 9 point buck whitetail.
And you turn them into some nice steaks of venison.
I sure did, buddy. Uh,
Had to be
I
done.
oh
How many acres asked Toby Laroni, aka
400,
Toblerone?
400 lad.
400 acres.
Yes, sir.
Sweet Mississippi mud pie.
And I don't mind the mushies as well. So
Oh,
out here in this field is one of my favorites, but right now they're not putting out much. This is really a beautiful where I'm at. Uh, I should have went out into the other field. It's one of the prettiest fields on the whole property. But if I can
Missy
get
wants to know if you have a quad.
a quad,
Yeah, quad bike.
I'm not sure I understand a quad bike.
An ATV, four wheeler.
Oh yes, I do. It's a '97 Honda 4 tracks,
Nice. Do you have the
and
roll bar on it, or is she straight open top?
just open top.
Want to be fucking careful. The old center of gravity on them bastards.
Oh no, I've looked at it a few times. That
Yeah, both Ozzy Osbourne and Rick Mail took bad touches on quads. But like, I suppose they were probably just, well, maybe Ozzy was off his nut,
oh,
pissed.
you know it.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect any less, to be honest.
You seen that video, that movie about I can't recall. Oh, I can't recall the name. But the heavy metal band in the
Oh,
'80s,
Motley Crue, The Dirt.
Motley Crue, and it had Ozzy Osbourne sniffing the ants.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he really didn't. He really didn't care what he was doing. I
Oh,
My
crazy!
experience of having an ant in my head once when I was living in Greece when I was 20, and there
Hmm.
was I noticed there was the place I was staying in, this like hut had a trail of ants running through the hut, and one of them had gone up the leg of the bed and into my ear, and I
Oh,
was woken up with the sound of like scuttling around inside my ear. Tell you one thing, got doused. Could still be there. I don't know.
oh,
Stay Green Ponyboy says he stood next to Tommy Lee at a urinal once. I'd say that flute was well bashed in.
I bet. Oh, Ozzy, right?
Or Tommy Lee from Motley Crue. Ronan
Oh,
Daly says,
Tommy Lee.
anyone see
Oh
that
man,
new Pierce Brosnan film? Doing burnouts in Ballinashlack. So how was your Christmas and New Year? What did you get up to?
who me?
Yeah.
Oh, I had a good time. Usually, my brother, we fly over there to Colorado,
Fort
and then,
Collins, right?
oh man, and then we go to Austin and all that. But this year was a good year, lad, because I got to stay here uh, on our property, and my mom and dad came up, and just a grandpa, and uh, we got to spend a lot of good times together. Usually it's long drives, long flights, and oh, I got 40 first cousins, and it can be big when they all come down. So
Good.
it
Sounds like
sometimes
good
gives me a
times.
little bit of anxiety from all the kids and uh, all the
Screaming and
food.
shouting. I was going to say, what's your nearest big city?
You said I was shouting?
No, was there lots of screaming and shouting kids just doing your
Oh,
head in?
oh yes. Uh, I have those panic attacks too. Sometimes, I suffer from that and PTSD.
Hmm.
But things are going well. I hadn't had them in a while.
Was that from? Were you in the army? Were you?
No, no. Just had a lot of traumatic things in my life from the past. Uh, I don't know. When I was young and dumb, I was hanging out in the streets and uh, you know, uh, dealing with guns and drugs and um I believe it was 14 of my close friends, real close, real close, good close mates, died, blew their head off, got shot, overdosed. Real sad, really, and this, I guess, just a lot of trauma, just traumatized me. Been through 12 totaled wrecks of my trucks over the old Xanax and alcohol.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. Like this. Let's say the escapism. It's via substance. It's not something that's just come about in the last few years. It's definitely been. It's a symptom of what's been going on for decades now. At this stage, it's
Yes,
just that
sir.
it's spoken about more honestly these days, I think. But there was talk about, speaking of the old mushies, Pete, of microdosing psilocybin. As apparently they're exploring that as an option here in Sweden.
Oh, really?
Apparently
Are
so.
they passing the law?
Well, I don't think they're passing the law. I mean, like they would be quick to outlaw anything natural here. Put it that way,
See.
because things that can be found in the wilderness that wouldn't be great for the profit margins of big companies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, big pharmaceuticals.
Mm, not
It's
good.
funny you mentioned that too on the microdosing. Uh, it's been I do, and it's been really helping me out. Uh, really, really helping me out, lad. My parents, my family, my friends, they're like, man, there's a big change in you. I don't know what you're doing, but keep on doing good, keep on doing what you're doing, I don't tell them what I'm doing, because, they're like, oh, you're taking shrooms, but, it's really, really, I'm a true believer, uh, of, the microdosing. It's really, really helped me.
I mean, these natural components have been around for longer than we have.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of herbal practitioners that would have that's a lost knowledge, and it was lost for a reason. I think
Yes.
um, you know you can synthesize compounds that are found in nature into a pill form, and then mass produce that and make profits off it. But the knowledge that people had about about herbs and natural remedies, they've been demonized through media. And yeah, I don't think it's basically it's not right, Pete. It's not right. That's what I'm trying to say.
Isn't
Um,
I know, and I'm on. They give me all these medicines, bipolar, mood swings, things for PTSD, and I had doctors. They're like, I suggest move to Colorado, or California, somewhere where marijuana is legal. Uh, but that doesn't help really. Sometimes that just throws me. Uh,
well, to be fair, there's a lot to be said for just where you are now. You've got your own land there, private land. You can go. You can take a walk across the fields. You can be gone out there for a couple of hours, and you come back feeling refreshed.
Oh yes, for sure, and plenty for a few months.
Mm.
So uh, yeah, the pharmaceutical companies and all that. They're California, mate, is pushing for the law. Actually, they just passed the law for psychedelic mushrooms. Uh, but I don't that as far as dispensaries and all that, I don't. That's not taking effect yet.
See, the thing is, Pete, with California, like they'll do things like that, but at the same time, they'll have completely absurd other laws, like ridiculous levels of taxation, or being soft on like violent criminals. And it's a weird city, or a weird state. And it's a shame to see like that. That was like the pinnacle of like the West, was like California. It was, at one time, it was one of the most sought after places to live in the world, and now it's just falling apart. And
Oh,
it's again down to corruption. And it's I find it so strange where you can be looking at discussions on Twitter and see people with two completely opposing views, and you're like, how can you both look at the same thing? Like, I mean, maybe like say it's like looking at a beach ball. You're looking at the same object, but it's completely different. And I think one side is I mean, like, I'm sure both sides can be quite delusional and partisan, but they're you've kind of got to look at what kind of information are they, like, let's say the progressive types like Rob Rayner and fools like that.
yeah,
What kind of bubble are they living in? What are they watching, like Rachel Maddow and shit like that? It's just, it's kind of, it seems to be like a real denial of common sense. And it's like a loyalty to what they've been watching for years. and
yeah,
and even though they can see the world getting worse around them, and I think they're in a major case of denial.
yeah. Definitely, lad. Uh, it's crazy.
But how about that
Uh,
150 truck there, Pete?
oh yeah, I'm a little. I'm about 75 yards away. I'm gonna close the gate. Bear with me.
And is it so? It's back in operation, is it?
It is. I current close this gate.
Is it
I
growling
currently
like a moody cat?
uh purring like oh yeah, purring good.
Purring like a cougar?
Oh yes, yes, yes. Running like a sewing machine.
And that's rolling nicely. So
Yes, sir.
you got some absolute beasts over there. I remember being in Fort Lauderdale and having to about 10 years ago, but probably about this time 10 years ago actually, having to stop at a petrol station because my daughter, who was about 1 at the time, was just screaming non-stop in the back of the car, and I was trying to drive up the freeway and went across this really strange bridge that just like arced around, and I was like,
Oh,
got into this petrol station, saw this dude getting out of like an F-150 that had like it had like raised suspension, and that was only the F-150, and then you got the 250s, the 350s, and then the 650s, which are, I mean, I don't know who could afford to even drive a 650, but they're
no.
massive.
Massive. Hundreds of thousands of dollars for vehicles nowadays is just crazy.
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I'm trying to get a good view. I don't have the hood on right now. I got her purring last night, and I need to take her out. But here, let me. I don't know if I can turn the camera around. Can I? Here, I'm just gonna turn it around. Here's the motor.
Ooh, look at that. Jesus, clean as a whistle.
She's pretty clean. She's pretty clean. Bought a new battery for her yesterday. But this is her. Uh,
So it's not
before
a
the
crew
day.
cab. Is that a 3-seater in the front, or does it just have one of those old style kind of bench seats?
Oh, it's a 3-seater.
Oh, nice.
See. Um,
Jesus, it was well kept. As Pete
hopefully.
Cass, who plays French Toast, would say, "It's as neat as a new pen."
Yes, sir. It needs some new carpet. I need to put some new carpet in it and a few things. Uh, from my papa had some cousins that needed to use the truck, and so there's a couple scratches and things I need to fix, but uh, it really is a pretty truck. It's
Is
nice
that a
and
double barbecue I see behind you as well?
oh yes, my friend gave this to me. One side's propane and the other charcoal.
Propane. Gee, that's
Propane,
brilliant.
propane.
I see the quad bike in the background there as
Charcoal.
well.
uh, this is my Honda, the '97.
Oh, nice.
I just got it cranked up the other day. It had a little bit of trouble, and here's my little boat, lad, my little aluminum boat.
And do you
And
have a lake on your land, or would
I've
you take
got
that?
I've got 8 stock ponds,
Really, stocked as well?
ducks.
Oh, duck ponds, and is it stocked with
Oh,
fish?
oh, they're stocked with. Let me see, uh, we got we got a catfish pond, and we got one of my favorite bass ponds. Willow trees all around it. It's beautiful, beautiful.
And is that trout?
Uh,
Is it
bass,
bass? Is it?
black bass. It's not a trout. No, it's uh, mm, I don't know how to say like a peacock bass. They're pretty nice. They got scales on them. Let's see, uh, like a
Do you have any
perch.
singing Billy Bass down there?
Billy bass.
Singing Billy Bass. Take me to the river.
Me to the river.
The one that Tony Soprano got really pissed off about when he thought of Uncle Pussy. He was like, "Yo, D." Oh no, it was that guy who worked in the strip club. It was like, "Hey, I got this," and then he started like smashed it over his head. Who the fuck left this shit in the fucking joint? Not unlike sea bass, says Sparky. Is that sea bass from Dumb and Dumber?
Oh yeah, sea bass. So yeah, uh, as much as I watch Dumb and Dumber, there's always something new. And on Seabass's hat, I noticed the other day it said "Wine 'em, dine 'em, and 69 'em." Oh, Seabass. Oh,
Sea bass. I like the way it was like Mary Samsonite.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't seen that film for years. That's
So was Jim Carrey? Yeah, he's like with that lady he had. He had eyes on. Oh, I forgot her name in the movie.
Mary Swanson.
Mary Swanson. Swanson.
Mary
It
Samsonite.
was like
Her name was on the bag.
yeah, lad, and it's like so she's like, what's the chances of me getting with you? And she's like, more like 1 in a million. And he's like, well, so you're telling me there's a chance? Yeah, just
What really annoyed me
like
about that film, even to this day, was the end with the Swedish volleyball team, and he was like, "No, it's actually that way." And
yes, 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 I'm agree.
but I guess the characters were too dumb to understand. You know, I mean, it was a very unrealistic thing to have happened as well. The odds of a team of Swedish volleyball playing women looking for just two random lads to help out with, massaging them after their games of volleyball. I mean, it's pretty rare anyway.
Very rare and stupid.
Yes,
Not right in the
dumb.
mind.
What does Dr. David says? She gave me this John Deere letter. Something about me not listening to her. I don't know. I wasn't really paying
Really
attention.
paying attention. Yeah, I remember they're in the hot tub.
This John Deere letter.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really paying attention.
Kingpin's a great film. That's always one of my favorites.
Yeah, but as far as the pond here, though, we have a lot of ducks. Ducks on the pond, and oh, we have people come out here that we lease it out.
Is that the Duck
Uh,
Dynasty boys? Is it?
huh?
Is that the Duck Dynasty boys?
Duck Dynasty type of like a boys like them.
Yeah, those lads. Do they be coming out?
The Duck Dynasty boys haven't been here yet, but I'd have to say if they came, they would be very surprised because there are ducks everywhere, and you know, it's really nice though for me because I came from Houston. The first 10 years of my life, I lived here, and things got hard for my father, so we moved down to Houston. Uh, so he can go work in the petrochemical plants, and I had to get away. I had to get away, and I moved up here, and so it's so peaceful for me, and what's the word?
It's good for the soul.
Therapeutic. Yeah, good for the
Mm.
soul, for sure, for sure.
Mm.
But
Well, it must be nice. I mean, you can take the quad for a spin across the fields, and just like spend all day just driving around. A real classic Irish thing to say. What time is it over there now? Must be a good 4 o'clock, is it?
just about 22.
Ah, 20 to 4.
Where do you
Over here it's
time
20
is
to
it over
11.
there?
Sorry?
You said it's about 11 there.
Not 22. 22.
Oh, I'd
Yeah.
love to go there and visit Ireland one day, and London and the west of Ireland one day as well.
Yeah, the west of Ireland is a fantastic place that I really would recommend. I mean, like I would recommend a couple of days in Dublin just
Oh
because
yeah.
it's great fun. But a lot of people I speak to in Sweden, they're like, I was in Ireland, I was in Dublin, and it's like the idea of just knocking about Temple Bar for like 3 days on the piss sounds fun, but it's not the same as just going out to the west and looking at the likes of Connemara or around like northwest Mayo, Sligo, Donegal,
Uh,
Galway, man, Galway.
yes. Beautiful country.
That is, to be fair. What's been said here? The piece from Alan S. Couldn't remember earlier, but look up Flexner report when it comes to medical history. Allopathic medicine, Rockefeller up to his tricks with petroleum-based medicine. Like I can't understand why you put oil into medicine. Well, I suppose you would if you own a load of oil. You'd be like, take this oil, it'll sort you out.
Yeah.
But they're dodgy old bastards, the Rockefellers, man. They I heard a
Oh.
few in 2019. I remember hearing that they'd apparently divested all of their fortune that they'd made in oil out of oil and into renewables. So it stands to reason why there's such a big push on the lithium based
Uh,
power sources.
right.
Green
Right.
diesel pills, says Ronan Daly. But yeah, they're dodgy boys, up to no good, Pete.
Up
Up to
to
no
no
good.
good. Oh.
Should we see if there's anyone else want to come in and join the chat with us and see who else is in the mix? The stream is open. Do you want to see if Pete got back to me? I'd love to text him because I was actually thinking about getting him on. He does. He's got a good channel called Nothing But Ripping, or NBR as he's known. Um, Big shout out to the man himself. See if he's. One second, I'll just text him now. So this was a double treat, a live interview or an interview, and then this. So
Uh. Yeah. It's been glad to be on here. To talk to you. You're like my number one fan. I'm always watching Hardy Bucks, and I met it. Through Netflix, and ever since I've been hooked.
yeah, I like the fact that we I've now got fans in different parts of the US. It's it'd be nice if it took off a bit more. We had another run with Netflix, but to be quite honest, I'm amazed that we actually got onto Netflix. But I have to say, I've been watching a lot of Cobra Kai lately. That's a great show.
Cobra Kai is really good. What season are the? I think season 3 is the last I watched. Or they in season 4 now?
Season 5, I think. I just started watching season 4 yesterday. I've been watching it with the kids. There was a bit of
Oh.
choice language in the beginning, um, but it's funny because when I'm watching it with the kids, my daughter gets embarrassed when there's like scenes of people kissing. But like me and my son have now started like just like making fun of it, going, "Oh, this is the best bit."
Yeah.
So if like the Karate Kid is kissing his wife, it's like, "Woo, it's the best bit," just to wind her up.
I got to get caught up on that.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, it's a bit far fetched at times, but it's entertaining, and it's. I think they did a good job with it because it could have been ruined like many other great franchises.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it's going good so far. After season 4 and season 5, it's still going real
Yeah,
good, huh?
Kreese, the the original Cobra Kai sensei, like he's such a fucking legend.
Yeah.
He never fails to make me laugh. But there was a bit where I don't know if it's the second or third series where that lad Dimitri he looks at his snake and he's like, "Oh, that snake you have, oh, that's quite the little tattoo," or he says something. And he goes, "But this Indochina species of cobra actually has more of a flared head and round pupils as opposed to the vertical pupils that you have illustrated on your tattoo." And he's like squeezing squeezing the snake tattoo and comes out with a busted nose.
Yeah.
Uh, Ronan said, "Did you watch the darts final last night? Some game? I was watching the darts final. I don't know if you were watching the darts final, Pete, but a
No, I
Dutch
didn't.
lad and an English guy were going toe to toe, and the prize money was 500,000 green queens, and it kind of just ended very quickly. Well, I was like, I don't really understand what the when I was watching it, and I understood who was winning, but you're just looking at the pressure that's on those two guys, and it's not even they don't even drink like they used to. Like in the old days, darts was a real piss up. It was like one of the only sports that actually actively encouraged getting smashed. But it looks like the people who do go to watch the darts have a great time in the crowd.
Well, listen, Maloney, it's been really a pleasure and honor to talk to you.
Likewise,
My
Pete,
little,
man, and jump on any time, mate.
oh, for sure. My little baby is crying. My little, I don't have any kids, but my little baby, my little Dapple Dotson, Abby, say hi.
Oh, lovely dog.
Yeah, she's a good little dog. My Australian Shepherd just passed away. He got into a accident, so
We
unfortunately
have
he died.
Staggering Pony Boys on now as well, Pete. And this man knows the crack with Komodo dragons, living over there in Arizona.
That's it, buddy.
All
Yeah, how are you
right.
doing? Happy New Year to you.
Happy New
Pete,
Year to you
I'll
too.
let you go, mate, and hop on again in the future. Thanks for hopping in for the chat. Nice to talk
Yes,
to you,
sir.
and thanks for showing us around.
I'll be watching later. I gotta take care of my baby, but yes, we'll
Sweet.
talk to you later.
Put some nice chrome wheels on the some 5 spokes on that 150.
I plan on it.
Good man,
Something
good man.
nice and looking
Take care,
good.
brother. Happy birthday.
See ya.
Oh, happy New Year, sorry.
All right, buddy.
Good luck, mate. Bye bye. Here he is. How you doing?
Hey, how are you doing, buddy?
Not too bad. How's the weather over there in Arizona?
It's
How about those
beautiful.
Diamondbacks?
Oh yeah. I see them every day, figuratively and literally.
Yeah, so you're working in the vivarium.
I am. I'm actually supposed to be working right now on spotted hyena signage. Supposed to be writing that, but you keep popping up every time I try to go on and find the study music.
I mean, to be fair, it's a good distraction. It's a good distraction.
It is. Surprising.
How about those KDs over there?
the KDs? What?
Yeah, the Komodo dragons.
Oh, the Komodo dragons. Yeah, we got
The
Komodo
dragon.
dragons. Yeah, you got to come see them, buddy. We got probably the best reptile collection in the West.
Really?
I'm working on getting you here, and we're trying to get Alice Cooper in. And I was laughing about that today. I got 2 reptile guys, and none of them want to come see my collection.
Oh man, what if we go on the same day and we just jam it up?
It could happen. Alice is he's elusive, but not elusive. He's around town a lot, so we're trying to do a little project with him.
CM Fox wants to know, many rattlesnakes there?
Yeah, well, I live in the city. Where I work is a zoo, and we actually have all 13 species of rattlesnakes native to Arizona at ours. So yeah, lots of rattlesnakes. They're cool.
Do you have any crocodiles in there?
We've got alligators. So we have American alligators, and then we have a Chinese alligator, which is a lot smaller.
Is it the Siamese gator, is it?
Chinese, it's from the Yangtze River. So pretty critically endangered species, very small. Looks like an American one, just a lot smaller.
Did they eat them all?
Do they eat them over there?
Did they eat them all?
Oh, did they eat them all? We keep them separate.
No, as in the Chinese lads. Did they eat all the?
Yeah, they eat just about anything. I guess you gotta survive. But they live in a very muddy river that has a lot of traffic with boats and whatnot, and just losing habitat all the time.
I went to visit a place called Crocodiles of the World in England near Whitney. They have a very impressive collection of large reptiles.
Huh.
They have quite a few Nile crocodiles, but they're only small lads. They've got the KDs.
Right.
which is also a nightclub in Charlestown, the next town.
I keep thinking you're saying KBs, which is how we
KBs, kettlebells.
kettlebells or kind bud.
Kind
Usually-
good, yeah,
usually
KB.
a little bit of
KB
both.
Billy and the sound of the 70s. Got Ronan Daly wants to know, do you reckon alligators are Protestant or Catholic?
Oh, that's a good question. I remember, wasn't there like when the Irish were coming over to America, there were some caricatures of them wearing the Pope's hat, of alligators wearing a papal or a bishop's hat. So I would guess they're Catholics.
Yeah, good Catholic gators.
And if,
They set them loose to do damage when the July the 12th
the
marches are on.
on the 6th, yeah.
So are you high up in the in the sanctuary or the park?
I'm as high up as I want to be. I have a kind of a cultured a little spot for myself that meets my kind of a special agent. You know, I do all the writing and I do management of all interpretive on-ground stuff, and I avoid opportunities to go higher because that would be more difficult, and I would have employees. So now I'm at a level where I'm the only one.
Found the sweet spot, so to speak.
Found the sweet spot, brother.
Yeah,
Took a long time.
You know, sometimes with more responsibility doesn't necessarily bring any bonuses or like you might get a slight bit more pay, but you've got way more workload and responsibility.
Yes, and my job is peculiar and unique, needs a skill set that fortunately I have, and I don't think anybody else wants to do it in that sense, so nobody messes with me too much as long as I do my job.
So have you ever done anything with the Gatorland in Orlando?
I haven't. I know some people that have. There's a couple different gator spots. I think we might have gotten some of our gators from them. Actually,
There's one in Colorado as well, I think.
Yeah, there's a couple that are around. We're fortunate that we're warm temperature here, so we get a lot of those kind of big reptiles and hot weather animals. Somebody asked about. Shit, I forget what they asked. So never mind.
Was that the what branch of Christianity the alligators are from?
Oh no, it was after that. Somebody asked, "Oh, do we shoot chimpanzees?" Was the question on.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, they really couldn't wait to shoot. I mean, I didn't hear much about it, but it was there are guys here in Sweden, marksmen, who they're a little bit like the first series of South Park when what the fuck was the name of that character? It's coming right for us. Wasn't the scuttlebutt? Someone in the chat will know.
I kind of remember what you're talking about.
It was the one where Stan's uncle went out and they were looking for this rare creature, and he was like, "Friend," and they just blew it to bits. But you have lads like that who are just looking for an excuse just to unload their ammo into anything.
We do have. Well, we don't have chimpanzees. We do have orangutans, and
you do.
We have orangutans. Yeah, we have a great collection of orangs. We have a team. We have a shoot team, and everybody's got a different code. Code blue, code yellow, I think, and then there's code red, and then there's shoot to kill. So unfortunately, if a tiger and a few others were to get loose, they would be shoot to kill. There's a couple that might be on the list that probably shouldn't, that we know wouldn't do it, wouldn't do anything. I did get into work one day a long time ago before the gates opened, and I was standing outside my office, and a wolf ran by. So, which technically I think might be on the shoot to kill list, but they knew it was an old female wolf, and they knew her, and it was just like, well, she'll go back in, and we just got her in. But
basically just like a dog.
Yeah, most of them, they know where they're fed and where they're safe, and this and that. But there are some scary animals. The big mandrill, wouldn't mess with the mandrill.
Apparently, mandrills, according to Brassai, it was okay for mandrills to sell drugs because it got past some old law. Dr. David could tell us that. I was just trying to find what the name of that. I like Graham Russell, lad. Sorry, one second. It says Don Jolly got clocked with a stone by Stacey Solomon on I'm a Celebrity circa 2012. Man Burr Pig. I don't think it was the Man Burr Pig call. It was another thing. It was kind of like the Bigfoot or something similar to that.
Sasquatch.
Maybe, yeah. That's gonna do my head in. Was it the Man Burr Pig? What was it called? What was it?
Not the one when Rosie O'Donnell, she was a giant monster. Patrick, what's his name, was her foot. Is that right? I remember.
Oh, the Phil Collins Mountain was another good one.
It's funny because there's a lot of Mormon folk out here in the state of Arizona, and the guys who wrote it, I believe they're Mormon, or at least one of them. Matt Stone or one of them. So
yeah,
and Mormons think it's the funniest show ever. It's just they love it.
So, Tolgarone says Kevin Bacon Simulator 2023. Mandrills, are they basically like a baboon?
Yeah, they're essentially baboons. Just the huge baboon. I think they've shifted them a little bit. I forget. The scientists are always kind of shifting the taxonomy. But for all intents and purposes, they're I think they're the largest monkey, which are baboons.
The size and what are they benching? Average. Let me see the old. An adult male weighs 70 to 119 pounds, 32 to 54. An adult female. Yeah, I remember having a conversation with my brother-in-law years ago. Who would win in a fight out of I mean, it was a bit of really stupid looking back now. My end of it, because I was like a Silverback versus Big Show from WWE, and I think it is safe to say that this is a real Joe Rogan chat.
Yeah.
Jamie, pull up the picture of that gorilla. Look at that thing, man. It's jacked.
Martin,
Wow.
I love Joe Rogan, but I got to tell you, yesterday he started talking about Komodo dragons, and I knew he was going to start talking about venom and bacteria. I had to turn it off because the further thought on venom and bacteria is it's not that much, not that important for the killing aspect of the Komodo dragon, and it's gotten a lot more hype and media sensation than maybe it deserves. So
it's more, as far as I'm aware, it's more of a it basically causes septicemia, which causes the animal to basically slowly die.
Yeah, the thing about that is for the bacteria side is, and stop me if I start going down too much of a rabbit hole, but a lot of those tests were done at zoos, and a lot of the bacteria they're getting is just from the water that's getting in their mouths, and there's 30 different animals feeding on one, and it's highly variable depending on where they do the test, whether it's in the wild, this zoo or that zoo. And then the venom thing, there's one guy named Fry out of Australia, and he kind of makes his living promoting the venom thing. Basically what it is it's just like a remnant from perhaps a different spot in the evolutionary tree. They find it in other lizards, they're finding it more, but it doesn't necessarily mean there's venom. They found a little bit of venom, they think, and maybe it holds off so they bleed out in a certain amount of time. But we always see the Komodo dragon eating this big water buffalo, right? It's always in the nature. They're not native to Komodo Island, so their prey is typically smaller traditionally. So to have this,
they're not native to Indonesia.
They are to Indonesia, but not to Komodo Island, as I understand it.
So how did they get on? Did some lads just let them off a boat? Maybe
Exactly.
it was just like
Portuguese, probably, when the Dutch got there and the Portuguese got there, and they're like, hey, we can stay here and let's bring some goats, because wherever people go, they bring goats and they bring buffalo, whatever the livestock is, and that's usually what destroys the local ecology.
Invasive species.
Yes.
I don't know if you heard the podcast I did with Adam Britton, but he's one of the world's leading zoologists when it comes to who's your man, the other lad? He's an American dude. He lives out in India. Oh, what's his name? Bald dude. Looks a bit like the dad out of Dharma and Greg.
Dharma and Greg.
What's his name? There's a couple of them. There was a guy called Bar Brady. And I remember watching this.
I remember Bar Brady.
Did you ever see that episode?
He came to the zoo. I saw him talk once, like 15 years ago.
Yeah, he was a bit
Brady
of a
Barr,
lunatic.
Brady Barr.
Oh, Brady Barr, yeah, Brady Barr. He had one episode called the Laser Cam, which is basically just a camera with a foot wide. They had two lasers a foot apart, and the whole idea was, it was more so about the laser cam than it was the animals. He was like, "Look at that giraffe. We 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 managed to get the laser cam, and then you track the dots of the lasers, and then we put it together with a computer model afterwards. And then they find this like nearly dead Nile crocodile that's just been living in a hole, and then I mean, it looked like it was just gone there just to slip away off the mortal coil, and they just start dragging this thing out the hole, and it's just so old and big that it doesn't even put up any resistance.
Oh yeah.
And they've got all these ropes around. It's like, pull a purple rope, not the purple rope. And the editor just zooms in on this. There's this what African guy who's like, yes, so here we have a big croc living inside this hole here. And you can just see the look on his face is like, who is this guy? And I think there was another episode where a woman got her finger bitten off by a caiman or something that they're wrestling with in the woods. I'm just trying to think that other guy, Don. Oh, 1 second. So I'm an awful man for going off on tangents. Ron Whitaker, is that his name?
You know, I'll be honest with you. I don't watch a ton of TV. I watch, so a lot of people ask me this stuff, and it's people that are in my industry, but unless I meet them or I work with them, a lot of times I miss it. I watch Hardy Bucks, and that's the extent of it. That and mixed martial arts.
You know what? You can't go too far wrong. You'll be oozing testosterone, man.
Right.
Hard boys going around town.
That's what we do. We got. I think I mentioned we got a lot of MMA guys here in town, and I used to do a bit of the arm wrestling, so I know that community is
over the top.
Yeah, well, John, who won that tournament in real life, lives in Arizona. I've trained with John, and I trained with Alan Fisher, who won the smaller class, and not less than a mile from where I sit, the table from over the top is right over there. When I'm retired now due to injury and age, but I used to be state champion, and
Wow.
we got pros over here. That table, you can see the little mounts where the cameras were and whatnot. And
yeah. So what's the deal with? I mean, you're a handyman to get on, because sometimes you find yourself in that awkward position where someone, let's do arm wrestles, and it's like, oh god, here we go. Like it happened to me in when I was in Swinford a couple of years ago at Christmas. And there was a 19-year-old lad who was jacked, but I'd say a fair bit of it was like creatine.
yeah,
And he was also using performance enhancers.
Yeah.
And he was like,
oh yeah,
fucking let me wrestle you, man. But I did beat him with the
well, you won King of the Town, didn't you?
KOTT.
Yeah.
But what's the any techniques to it?
Yeah, there's a lot more technique to it than you think, and as you get further along, you learn more than you would. But for some basics for the average guy, when you're pulling, don't use your arm. You want to use your whole body. You want to keep your eyes on your fist, and you want to keep your shoulder back. So if the guy at the bar is like, all right, and he puts his arm like that, go like, all right, but don't go out that far. Keep it tight. Keep it right here. And once somebody says go or whatever it happens, don't pull over to your side. I know it's hard to see me. Don't pull over to the side like that. You want to pull back towards yourself and then towards the back corner. If you have a table, you can actually do it like that. But don't go like this, because there's no power there. Your arm essentially is a hook. Think of it as a solid. You're not doing a curl. You're locking it solid and pulling it to your body and using your whole body to crush this dude.
You see, that's something I never realized, because I've been beaten by people who, and then you go, all right, let's go with the left. But it's something that I always just went straight.
Yeah.
But the pulling in,
it's called back pressure.
Now you see, fair play. You know, there are many people now in the chat who have, and viewing later on, if they find themselves in a situation where someone fronts them with an arm wrestle,
there you go.
They'll know the back pressure technique. So it's in essence, it's like it's like a mini digger, or you know, you got to pull it in before you can lift it up.
Yeah. There's a lot to that. You know, it's static in the arm. You want to bend your wrist. I mean, there's a couple ways to do it. You can go over the top like that. That's a little more advanced. Your standard curl, when you just kind of pull it to yourself, that's usually the strongest first place to go for most people. Then there's variables on speed, like when they say ready, go, do you hit quick? Do you stop? Do you do all these kind of things? And people kind of really bulky, super strong guys usually are sometimes slower and they just power you. You get thinner, really fast twitch muscle guys who are just go, and they're just so quick. I usually was kind of in the middle. You know?
It's funny because I've noticed that smaller guys usually tend to have freakish strength, but apparently that's because the distance, that I don't know if it's the sinews or or it boils down to how fast the electrical signal travels from one place to the other. You know, it's like absolute strength to relative strength.
Yeah.
But like if you look at Tom Clegane, who I got a missed call off him there, he wouldn't come on the show, but he'd be going, "That was a good stream you did there, Martin, for play to you. How are you, Tom?" But he was always one of these lads who always had. It was like, I remember in school being like, "Oh, Gellin, man."
Yeah.
People were like, he did so much weightlifting, it stunted his growth. There's all rumors his headlocks are inescapable.
Yeah.
But he was always like, I remember like he was the one who introduced kettlebells to the group.
Yeah.
And he used to watch this thing by Steve Maxwell. It was like
Cruel
and Unusual with Steve Maxwell, and it was very impressive, like the rate and the weight in which he had no problem with like muscle ups and this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he was always like, "Yeah, haha, big lads like you, Maloney, are losing to lads like me." But like he could lift the kettlebell, 20 kg kettlebell, straight up like this without it
that's
faltering.
super hard. That's really hard to maintain that. I've done a bit of that as well.
But get this though, he put another kettlebell on top of it and then put the two of them up like this.
Well, that shit's really hard because it's balance, and then you're getting all those little muscles to do it, and it's really hard. It's, you know, and short guys, there is a bit of leverage there. You know, there's some guys, like they say a long forearm is good for arm wrestling, but man, some of those Eastern European guys, their arms don't seem all that long, but they're just like rocks, and they're just, you know,
just intergenerational heavy toiling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Rock farming and things. I suppose.
Lads being sent to gulags for years,
right.
Swinging sledgehammers and pickaxes all day.
Yeah, only way, you know, arm wrestling is some sort of transaction in prison or something. You know?
Yeah, you get to like double or quits for cigarettes and that kind of thing.
Well, you know, I got real lucky with arm wrestling. I used to do a bit of the bodybuilding, powerlifting, and things like that in high school, but I'm not a super big guy. I'm whatever. But when I was about 30, one thing, I'd never lost an arm wrestling match, and I'd spent the prior like 15 or 14 years in the pub singing rock songs, doing drugs and birds and all that stuff. And I kind of got
just living life to the max.
Yeah, living life to the max. And I was getting ready for a tour of the Western States, and I was unfit. And I was like, so I started dusting off the old weights and everything, and everything hurt from all the reasons. But I was like, man, there's like from here to here doesn't hurt that bad. And it seems to be the part of me that's still in shape. So I took a shot at it, and I had that just a weird amount of muscle there, and it was just enough to do well. And then I got in with these other guys who I was extremely lucky. Like I said, what are the chances that the over the top guys are going to be down the street?
The actual guys.
Yeah, and I'm like always looking for like media and things. Like when I won, I was on the front of the newspaper. Then on this next year, I was on the front. But both times it was just a stoned guy in the right place at the right time. You know, it's all a big performance art joke to me. Even the Komodo dragons and the arm wrestling, I'm like, you're not buying this, you guys. I'm just doing it for laughs, you know. But I won, and I got lucky.
I remember when I was 19 being in Greece, me and my friend Jono, John O'Hughes, shout out. I doubt I hadn't spoken to him for years, but like he was so confident about the arm wrestling. He was like, walked into this pub full of like older dudes, and he was like, "Here, I wrestle fucking anyone, arm wrestle and beat anyone in this place." Like, and they weren't too impressed by our bravado. But then afterwards, we I had to be all like contrite, like, "Yeah, guys, yeah, good to meet. Where you from? Oh, very good, yeah." Just like to show that we weren't assholes.
Yeah, they get mad.
Mm.
Have you ever seen Pulling John, the film?
No.
Please do. It's a documentary about John Brzenk, who's the Michael Jordan of arm wrestling. He retired recently, sort of. He's still here. He does podcasts, and he gets like huge hits on him. Brzenk, I think is how you spell his name. It's the best ever. And and if you come out here,
I think it's actually on.
And you want
it's on YouTube.
Yeah, look him up. He's on there. We'll get, if you want interesting people for your podcast, Martin, just through the folks I know out here, we could get the over the top guys.
Mm-hmm.
Probably, I'm sure John would do it. We could probably get Don Fry if you're interested in talking to
Don Fry.
Yeah, he's a friend.
That lad's an absolute legend, man. I'd love to get Don Fry on.
His daughter is I'm a writing mentor. She was my intern last summer.
Really?
And I've done some writing for Don and helped him with a couple things in the past, this and that. So we're friendly acquaintances. Yes. I got something for you. Official Don Fry action figure.
Wow. He seems like a really like Don Fry is just seems like a really cool old school American.
Well, he also has a podcast that I thought you might be an interesting guest for with a little prep. He does. It's called Dan and Don's Toxic Masculinity. He starts off with an AR-15, throws it down, and Dan Severn, who's another old UFC guy, is his best buddy. And but he has some interesting people on there because you mentioned Rob Schneider for your show. He's a good friend he's here in Arizona too, and he's a good friend.
Yeah, because funny enough, I did reach out to see if I could get him on the podcast. But you see, the thing is when you reach out via agents, and managers, they're kind of like, okay, yeah, what's he going to get out of it? Nothing.
Right.
From like an agent's or manager point of view, they're like, well, that's just going to be time spent where there's not going to be any hard wedge,
right.
Which I get,
I know, and yeah, well, I don't know Rob, but I can call Don right now and we can get his number if you're,
That'd be sweet, man. Getting him on, man.
I believe I recall you guys mentioned Soulfly in one episode. You have a gig.
Max Cavalera.
Yeah. So Max is out here. We can put you in front of Max. He's another friendly acquaintance of mine.
Brilliant, man.
Yeah.
Keep them coming.
I'm telling you, bro. And I say this is my town. This is my town.
Nice. And that means like if I've had a good podcast with these guys, and then when I come out, then they were like, "Hey, Maloney."
See Max with the Brazilian accent.
Yeah. His son was playing drums that time at the gig here in Debasa. We got Sean Thornton, another man who understands the method of the fist.
That's true. Yeah,
what's to say? He's the ultimate American alpha male.
Right.
That fight. What's
Takana?
Yeah. I love the way he goes because Takana was badly injured. I don't know how he's doing these days.
Yeah,
but just to see the old the feuding parties, going together to, that Don went to visit him in hospital, and just it was heartwarming respect that these two absolute units had for each other.
Yeah.
But the Don Fry Hall of Fame speech, man, the guy's he's a walking legend.
It's funny. Good.
No, but that's the kind of guy, right? Where that's the kind of guy that, because he carries himself in a very respectful manner, and he's tipping the hat, always rocking a cool mustache.
He's funny. He's a funny guy too. He has a legit humor. I think the funniest thing I ever saw on television, it was fight league here in the States, an MMA league, and Ken Shamrock was in it too. And everybody had
another legend.
Coach the teams, and they had a segment called Dear Don, and in it, like, he would read letters from people, and then Ken Shamrock said, you know, Dear Don. They had Ken come in and say, "Is it true you stole Freddie Mercury's mustache?" Don replied, "Now, Ken, I do appreciate you coming to me, and we all know how rumors get started, so I appreciate you came right to the source. And I know that you and Freddie dated a lot of guys before you guys started dating, so I know you take this real person." You know, he just like went into him and this whole thing, and just, you know, I'm glad it lasted as long as it did, but he's a funny guy, and it's a good show. And but you I think might be a proper guest for him, because I mean, he's very all the way to the right, and, you know, unpretentious, no apologies. But you can, you know, he lets people talk, and you guys would have some interesting things to come. You know, there'd be some cross streams there. So
crossing streams, we'd be pissing at the same toilet.
next to Tommy Lee.
Next to Tommy Lee as well. What was Tommy Lee like when you met him?
Well, you know, when I was in the music biz, I did open for Motley Crue once, but I didn't talk to him then. I just happened to be in Vegas for something else, and it was just literally one of the guys who was all with me was like, "Out of my way, Tommy Lee," and I thought he was just bullying somebody, and the guy's like, "Hey ho," and it really is Tommy Lee. And then I thought about looking at the dong, but then I also thought, you know, it'd probably be inappropriate and send the wrong message. So
yeah. But I was going to say, like lads like Don Fry, like that kind of archetypal, sound tough guy, like they were the kind of dudes growing up. You'd be like, you know, like someone like Burt Reynolds, like lads driving around in like Pontiac Firebirds.
Yeah. You mentioned the Hall of Fame. I don't know if you're familiar with mixedmartialarts.com. So it's called the Underground. Yeah, that was good. I know his wife too. I knew him when they were married, and their ex-wife, and that's funny. They're both really cool. But shit, what was I saying? Oh yeah, Hall of Fame. So I originally, not the first time I met Don, but mixedmartialarts.com is how I got introduced to Hardy Bucks. Because,
really?
Yeah, it's just a forum, but it's like the original forum for MMA, and it's kind of a wasteland now. But some guys,
it was like the Sherdog.
It was the main thing next to Sherdog. It was either the UG or Sherdog. The UG is the underground. But on the UG, they started posting some clips of you guys when you guys were doing some of the call out videos and stuff. And, you know, I'd seen Knuckle and all that kind of stuff. There was just bits of you and Owen.
I steep my hand in petrol. Break him hard as a stone. Break a man up then.
Well, I think my funniest
Joyce.
The whole Joe Joyce and all those guys. And I've been interested in that from at one point in time. I was in graduate school studying Irish immigration to the United States, but then I signed a record contract and said, "Fuck that stuff." And but yeah, so I love when you guys did that, and I was like, these fuckers are funny. And so that website at one point was doing their own Mixed Martial Arts Hall of Fame, and Keurig, the guy who runs it, he asked anybody, but I sent him some samples, and he was like, "Oh, please send me more. You're actually a writer." And so I did Inoki, Don Fry, a few others. Shit, I don't know where I was going with that, but you mentioned the Hall of Fame. Oh, I'll send that to you if you have an interest, because I talk about being an archetype, and I write with a little bit of a comedic twist, so you might get a laugh out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Send it on.
Yeah.
Like the was Alan S says, "Dying embryonic cells, great thrash metal tune."
Yeah. Oh yeah. Soulfly.
Because I remember when they came out, it was like 2000. My mate Stevie B was like, didn't they have something to do with Slipknot back in the day as well? It was like
yeah, they had a rivalry. How was that done? No, I take that back. They probably toured with him. My buddy out here is Slipknot's drum tech, and he used to work for or do stuff with Sepul and Soulfly. Dropping names left and right here. Very impressive.
Hey, you know a lot of people out there. So you're in Phoenix?
Yes, sir. I'm Tempe, technically.
And how is it? How's the nightlife and the general vibe over there?
It's pretty good. Arizona's a very odd place. I'm glad to be here in this day and age. Um, Allows me to navigate this weird world and the whole COVID thing. I work in an environment with people I love who are smarter than me, and they all think differently than me. So I have to keep a lot of that stuff to myself.
Mm.
And I'm not, oh, Matt's a conservative, or Matt, I don't fall into any of those things. So, but I take care of myself health wise, and I've done no COVID for this guy so far, and
Funny that.
a lot of vitamin D.
Yeah,
But
and exercise.
yeah, and exercise. That's it. So Arizona is very odd, man. With elections, it's both sides. It's weird.
Yeah, the whole Kerry Lake and who was the other one?
Katie Hobbs.
Katie Hobbs. Yeah, she sounds like she owns a series of kitchen appliances.
Yeah.
Russell's sister.
Yeah, she has that very middle of the road milk toast American woman look.
Yeah, there did seem to be a couple of anomalies over there involving faulty machines and whatnot.
Yeah. Even if it's not done on purpose, there shouldn't be 7 stages your ballot has to go through before it gets counted or whatever's going on. I don't pay too much attention, but
it just seems like the corruption over there in the States, man. It's just off the charts, and it's like. There's 3 categories: there's those who are ignorant, those who are either working and towards some sort of agenda where they're getting kickbacks, or those who are open to just if the information if they came across information that changed their opinion, that they would be like, okay, fair enough.
Absolutely. But they're ready to discredit it, and a lot of times with good reason. There's so much baloney out there; it's hard to see through it. But yeah, you're right.
What's going on with this McCarthy guy being the Speaker of the House? Because he seems like a slippery bastard. And that Mitch McConnell's another wanker as well.
Yeah, there are a whole bunch of cool boxes. I've sort of looked at it.
To be fair, though, a lot of those lads in the the Congress and the Senate, they should have enclosures at your place.
Have enclosures? What do you mean?
Well, in the reptile house.
Oh yeah.
Cold-blooded bastards.
Oh yeah, cold-blooded.
I'd say the cold-blooded lads in your place are probably a lot sounder.
Yeah, we're trying to get away from the term cold-blooded because it has a negative connotation. Ectothermic. Funny, when I was talking to you, man. God, what's his fucking name again? Adam Britton. Yeah.
We were talking about like a crocodile infested river and what chance he would have getting across, and he said, "Oh, we don't like to call it infested. It's offensive to the crocs. We call it inhabited."
Dude, that's my whole job, is making sure I say things correctly. So in the wild would be in its natural habitat. In captivity would be in managed care. And a lot of it makes sense. A lot of it is more respectful to the animals. So I'm not against saying things in ways that don't offend people and things like that. I think there's a lot to be gained from that. It's just when it gets silly and gets unreasonable. And,
I remember being at a place called Wooten's down in the Everglades, and I met this guy called Gator John. He was very sound. Apparently got weird illness. I don't know if you've ever heard of him.
I'm sure my people do. If I don't know him, I know who knows him, kind of thing.
But they were doing some sort of pilot for Discovery, and it was like you could see, the way like Discovery Channel used to be a factual, serious channel that would have proper documentaries. Then it was all like, like ice truckers, and then throwing in like weird shit like like just like augmented reality, or not augmented reality, but reality TV, where it was basically it was acting as well as and set up shots, and they were doing a few of it. Like a truck would come in and they just wanted to like that kind of skidding onto shot, and they were redoing that over and over again. But this guy, he knew, like someone had mentioned that I was really excited about the idea of feeding these alligators with him. And I remember, like, he was like, "You want to come and feed the gators?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And then he was throwing like chicken thighs into these gators. And I remember just like standing at the edge, and I turned me back and went, "Hey, never turn your back on these things." And he was telling me, like, if it wasn't for these, they're for the razor grass, like these really cool boots that come up to your knee, and they've got Kevlar in them. And he said that one of them tried to drag him into the water, and that the boot saved his life, but or like at least saved his leg.
Yeah.
And I was just looking at these rows of teeth in front of me, and I was like, why do I like these so much?
Yeah.
You'd be ripped to bits in seconds. Like,
yeah.
Gold Rush, is that Ronan Daly says there used to be a show called Black Gold, and I remember there was a video of like a guy in a pub just getting knocked out.
I remember that. I know exactly.
Yeah.
That. And then he's
yeah.
going,
yeah.
He always replayed it in the thing. I watched that a lot of times. Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of those videos back in the day. Be like, whoa, must watch that again.
Actual violence. The guy came up with,
and it was a smaller dude as well. It was like, but they must have been roughneckers, were they?
They were roughnecks. Yeah, for some reason I remember that exact episode.
Yeah, it was by a pool table.
Yep,
it was like a bigger guy came and started on a small dude, and he just got dropped. But it was like, it was like,
because he did that knockout thing after.
Yo, Jamie, can you get up that segment there of that guy getting knocked out in Black Gold? Oh, hey, dude, like he's going into convulsions, man.
Did you see? Not the subject shift, and I don't want to drag this down a whole thing, but did you see on Rogan that guy found all this Pleistocene bones in the last 3 days ago? So the biggest collection of prehistoric mammal bones ever in history on 5 acres. They estimate 10,000 mammoths. And this guy it's millions. He was a gold guy, but he found this, and it's the best collection. Put all the other collections together. It's not that. And then he released, I guess, in the 40s, the Museum of Natural History put a bunch of excess mammoth bones and this and that to the East River outside New York. And the guy told you on Rogan 2 days ago where it is. So now and Rogan said if anybody goes and finds some, he'll bring them on the show. So now there's all these guys hanging around.
So they dumped them in East River?
Yeah.
What, in New York?
Yeah, like 80, 100 years ago. This guy just happened to have knowledge because he was moving his collection to the Smithsonian or Museum of Natural History.
One second. I've got the cat has been scraping at the door. Hold on one second.
Hi to everybody out there in Maloney land. Hope I'm not stealing the show away from all the interesting talk, you guys. But
so the usual shit's going to happen where the cats just keep the big red lad. He's a good boy, but his younger brother just keeps. I'm trying to get it's snowing outside now, and I don't want all the air escaping or the warm air leaving the place, but the other cat just has this thing where he just sits outside, and the only way to get him in really is just to fill up a bowl full of food and then coax him in. But he's scared of the kids because they get really excited to see him, and I think he's not really used to that at the moment.
Martin
Jerry Hoosh. Sorry. Oh yeah, but back to so they put them in the East River. And did you say Pleistocene as in like modeling clay?
Pleistocene as in the last ice age.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant Pleistocene. That's what they give like kids in nursery schools. Something that's like Play-Doh.
Oh, Play-Doh. Yeah. Nope. This was old bones. So that's just an interesting to see what happens in the next few days.
So why did they
excess and no storage? There was a bone rush. I don't know how familiar you are with the old bone rush. Basically, the beginning of the whole dinosaur discovery and that whole paleontology and study of all those things is kind of an interesting story that I'm not qualified to tell. But basically, two guys, one was a professor here and one worked at this museum here, and they were best buddies. And then they became rivals and who could get the most. And it became this whole story. And during that time, so much stuff was collected that the Natural History Museum a lot of it was just like probably half broken, and they'd had all the good stuff. So apparently they just dumped it. And now, as we speak, somebody's probably down there scuba diving. There's probably a Reddit channel, thing on Yeah.
Tell me this: what's happening with the Russians on about bringing back a woolly mammoth? Is that ever going to happen?
You know, there's a couple groups talking about that. Brian Eno is on one called I think it's the Long Now.
Brian Eno, the musician.
He's on the board of this one called the Long Now Foundation. And I talked to a couple of the guys there just because I'm that kind of dude that does that kind of shit. And what they're doing is they were talking about the mammoth. I know the Russians are working on it. They just announced something, but these other guys were talking about the mammoth, and they were all, you know who else is on it too? I think Virgin Records guy might be on the,
Richard Branson.
Richard Branson. He might be on the board for this group, but they're doing the passenger pigeon. Are you familiar with the passenger pigeon story?
No.
Okay, it was a very common bird in the United States, especially after the Indians were killed by the Europeans. Billions of them. I would say it would take days sometimes for a whole flock.
Like carrier pigeons.
Yes, but these they look like carrier pigeons, but they're gigantic flocks, and they would take over whole forests. And then when settlers came, they were like, "Hey, you know what works good? Turn the tree on fire." And when they nest, so they would just collect the tar and collect the. I think they used them for fat actually, and they fed slaves with the meat. And so they decimated this species. And by 1914, the last one, Martha, died. I actually have a 3D print of her head. A friend of mine at the Museum of Natural History made for me.
Wow.
But basically, she died in captivity in Cincinnati, and they've been gone. But so now this foundation is they're going to take a banded pigeon and just shift one little gene and make it almost a passenger pigeon and potentially try to reintroduce them. We'll see.
That's interesting.
You know, they're going to do it in countries. They probably already have to some degree.
Passenger pigeon. Yeah, I think. They were nice looking pigeons. They're a little bit like the wood pigeon.
Yeah, a little bit.
But thinner. They're like a more slender wood pigeon.
Yeah, I thought that. When I was over in Ireland, in England a couple of years ago. I was amazed how big the wood pigeons were, but yeah.
But you know, I think that was the thing about when like Europeans started like settling in the States. They're probably like, there's loads of room here, and you know, same with like Australia or other places. They were probably thinking, this is an endless resource, which it isn't. I remember when I was flying from New York to LA in 2011, and I was particularly having a doomy one. And I was flying to LA, and I didn't really know the people I was going to see, and I didn't know what to expect. And I just remember looking at like when you're about 15 to 20 minutes flying out of Kennedy Airport, and you're looking along there, it's just like, what the fuck have you done? Like, it's just there's just crap everywhere. Like, and
I was there. I flew out of Kennedy 3 weeks ago, and I always go the window seat because I'm from New York, but I'm never not amazed at all the. Look what we've done. It's terrible and amazing.
Where are you from in New York?
About 70 miles north of the city in a town called Poughkeepsie.
Oh, I've heard of that. I have heard of the town.
Yeah.
So it's on the way to Buffalo, is it?
Not that far. Buffalo's about 6 hours. Albany's about 2 hours north of New York City, and this is about halfway between Albany and New York City.
We have a ad blocker says that he's driving from, I think if he said Georgia to Buffalo.
That's about 14 hours, 15 hours.
But it's crazy the snowstorm that happened there in Buffalo. Didn't they like find like 30 people dead?
Yeah, I have an ex-girlfriend who's up there. She's been sending me footage. She lives outside of Buffalo, and she signed me up to a Facebook group that I had to get out of because it's so depressing. It's like, here's this woman and her child and their starving dog stuck here. Can anybody go get her? And my friend her friend went to he's an EMT, a medical guy, and went to just help 6 people in a car, and he got there too late. They were dead.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
I can't like. I mean, I remember hearing about a guy in Sweden, weirdly enough, that he survived for like, I think it was like 6 months or something, trapped in a car, and he just lived off snow, and he was just like skin and bone towards the end of it. And I'm like, how come he managed to? But then there was some other weird shit like that. He was actually some sort of criminal who'd been stuck, but he had survived off snow. I don't know if it was 6 weeks or 6 months, but it was a very long amount of time.
I think it's temperature. I'm guessing that they got hypothermia.
Yeah, maybe it was, but like, how do you but like, what, like, would they've not just let the engine tick over?
Yeah, I don't know. I know a lot of the people that just die in cold are older people that just can't get it together in
But there
time.
was like a 22-year-old girl who was
I mean,
who
it's
died.
cold. It was, with wind chill. I mean, around Buffalo, that wind is so bad coming off at the Lake Erie, and Buffalo's a skeevy place. It's a weird place anyway, but yeah, it's a way it gets so cold there, and they get so much so quick.
Kapiski, that's near that's the mountain range, isn't it? Is that mountain range kind of goes all the way down to Virginia, doesn't it? Or
across so Poughkeepsie's in what's called the Hudson Valley, and it's Poughkeepsie. It's an old Algonquin word, I believe, Iroquois word. And basically, it's in a valley, but there's lots of hills that get bigger as you go out, a couple miles from my mom's house. I grew up near the river, but you go farther in the county and the hills go up. Across the river is the Catskill Mountains are not far from there. And then the Adirondack Mountains, and those ranges connect to the greater Appalachian Mountains, which go all the way down to Georgia, North Alabama, Tennessee.
So you have because you'd hear like songs of the Appalachians.
Yeah.
And what does that mean? Is that like people who just lived around those towns?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I have a conversation going with an Irish woman right now on Instagram. She teaches Gaelic, and she just does short bites of Gaelic on Instagram. And she had said that she heard from some of her students that there are still Irish accents in the Appalachians. Now, the thing is Appalachia, not entirely. It's mostly the first settlers were mostly Scots-Irish. So from Ulster, came down. So
flute players on July the 12th.
There's a lot of clog dancing, that kind of stuff. So they live up there, and in some of the like North Georgia, Kentucky, Tennessee, in certain areas, they're still pretty deep in the woods. The internet's changing accents and stuff, but traditionally, you could still find speech patterns that go back to Gaelic and go back to Ireland and Northern Ireland.
The same with people from Newfoundland. It's like when you watch. That's one thing when I first watched Trailer Park Boys. It was how much their accents sounded like Irish accents.
Yeah,
we're going to midnight mass.
Yeah, and there's some bands up there too, like Great Big Sea. Are you familiar with them? They're from that part of Canada, but they do like Mary Mac. There's a sweet little lass, my name is Mary Mac. Make no mistake. So they do a lot of traditionals, and their stuff sounds very traditional.
Because it makes sense back in the day. I mean, if you go straight across from Ireland, you'll land. And what really impressed me is the fact that they have great white sharks up around Newfoundland as well.
Yeah,
I always thought it'd be too cold for them.
Newfoundland's a lot, but even in summer, it's all about migration paths. They used to have some birds that are now extinct that would be up there in summer, and then they would come down to Virginia and whatnot for winter. So, and sharks migrate, so they migrate the whole business. But yeah, I mean, I am surprised. I don't know enough about sharks to say what the range of great.
You don't get many sharks around Arizona, that's for sure.
No, not since the incident. Yeah, no.
But there is that. It was very impressive about the Atlanta Aquarium. They have, I don't know if it's one or two whale sharks.
Yeah.
I mean, how the hell did they manage to get a whale shark in transportation?
Get it in there. It blows my mind, some of the stuff aquariums do. I have friends at a couple of them, and it's just really incredible.
And I've had this conversation many times, and I was talking to someone who was qualified enough to, or was it a YouTube video I watched? I don't know. Basically, I don't know why, but great whites can't live in captivity. It's something about the range of how far they need to. It's more about they need to travel a certain distance.
Yeah, like we were saying, their migration patterns, and there's again, I don't know enough about it, but there's certain physiological aspects of the way how a fish works that changing in salinity. There's what prey is going to be where. Just mentally, they like I get frustrated when my neighbors don't walk their dogs just because I'm like, he needs that. He needs even if he's already pooped, just walking around once is instinctual, and that's just a little dog. So, I mean that you're probably right. I mean, I'm sure you're right about the great white thing, and it also expands on into the whole talk about cetaceans and whales and dolphins and all that. Highly intelligent creatures that are used to these giant ranges. That how do you find a happy medium for that?
Funny, I was talking the other night about human beings. We consider ourselves to be the most intelligent of the species here on Earth, but I think in many ways we are, because we have literature and communications, aviation, shipping, logistics, medicines, food. But it's easy for humans to be like, oh, look at that whale, it's so intelligent. Or like, the elephant remembers things from many years ago. But then you kind of think to yourself, the fact that we manage, and then sometimes I think, are we even from here in comparison to, it's like, what if you throw human beings out into the wild, we need clothing, we need warmth, we need shelter. Whereas like an orca or a whale or a dolphin, that'll live in the sea, and it has everything it needs in its ecosystem, in its habitat. Whereas we have to cheek of that cat. Well, come down off you big hairy bastard, you. But the fact that we have everything, or we need to manufacture things from our environment in order to survive. And I think maybe whales are more intelligent, but it's just that whereas you can't communicate to them, and they don't need to change their physiology.
Yeah, with the evolution of man and the whatever happened with the pineal gland and the mushrooms and the aliens, or however it happened that we were able to change our genetic code enough that these mutations allowed us to have abstract thought as we think we have it. Whatever it was that allowed us to modify our environment to such a degree. It does seem otherworldly, and it definitely was a pinnacle chink in the evolutionary chain. Were there others that died out for other reason? Possibly. Maybe they're in the primate. There's other. I mean, we're learning about octopuses and hyenas and so many of these animals. Like you were saying, you don't know how do you measure that if they're seeing the world in a completely different environment than us. Even doves. I've done large projects on pigeons and doves. Somebody mentioned that the feral pigeon is the rock dove, and I've written about that. Like, oh, they're dumb. They got hit by the car. Well, their eyes are set to see things that you couldn't imagine. Just not cars,
Yeah. And, it's like a dog trying to figure out how to play FIFA on a PlayStation.
Right. It's just conceptual. And then on the other hand, you mentioned like a whale is perfectly capable in its environment, but the more intelligent the animal, the less intuitive that kind of stuff is. So mom has to teach him. You know what I mean? Maybe not intelligence is the only thing. It's usually more of a mammalian thing, and we're seeing that birds are super intelligent and they don't do a lot of parental stuff and all that. But for a lot of animals, they do need full guidance. And if they don't have 2 years with mom or 2 years with the herd or 2 years with the pack, they're not going to learn the things you got to do. And they're going to like. I
suppose human beings, same can be said for human beings. And
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. So there are now. Is that an advance? Like, did prehistoric whales 700 million years ago or whatever early mammal whale kind of thing, bovine sea thing, were they instantly adaptable to their environment? Did they get smarter to the point where they had to teach their babies? I don't know. It's all speculation, but it's interesting. Keeps me up at night. Yes, yeah. Please,
ayahuasca elves. Guys, I saw the acorn or the
right.
Yeah, the DMT. Another thing, Jamie, pull up that DMT. I did a TV show about the importance of DMT.
Yes.
And dude, that stuff blew my mind.
Those toads that it comes from are native out here to the Colorado River. Shout out to Fort Collins.
What the toads?
Yeah, it's Bufo alvarius. And it is the Sonoran desert toad, also known as the shit, I forget the other
So
name.
the toads have DMT on their skin.
What it is they have a gland, and then there's another one. There's also called shit. I'm spacing the name. There's a toad in nearby Mexico. We've got it all out here in Arizona, and I know who to call.
Yeah.
So we got one out in Mexico that I got friends doing here. But the Buffa alvarius, which we have at the zoo, is the Sonoran desert toad. And they have a big gland on the back of their back. When people harvest the DMT, they just essentially, it's a toxin to protect them from snakes and birds and things. They squeeze it out, and then they dry it to a powder. And then I've only done it a little bit, and I just smoke it in my weed. But the hardcore fellas, I'm not sure how. I think they just, that's it, and up and goes. But it's right from this toad, which is not endangered, but there are some people trying to get them protected. Goofy dudes.
Mike Tyson, he licked one. Well, I'd never heard the story about Mike Tyson and the toads. It's like, yeah, I tried licking toads. I tried smoking mushrooms.
Mike's all about
it. Hey, cheek of this lad. I've got a feed. Hold on. Look at this. The cheek.
Fire tiger.
Yeah, he's a lovely cat. Both of them are lovely, but he's a very. 1 second. James, come on now. You're taking the piss.
CM Fox, you got that big gland on the back of your neck. You're going to get that looked at.
There he is. It's a fucking unit of that. Yeah, see what I get him to do. There he is. Such a big unit. He's got dreads under his, like, I've never known a cat to have got like dreads, but you can't get them still to cut them off. But his kind of hair's starting to grow out again. They probably end up falling off eventually.
He's got a lion face.
He does have a lion. He's very handsome.
Yeah.
He's a handsome old bastard. But his brother won't come in. And anytime he does come in, he's always like wanting to get back out again. Give it some Jamesons. Yeah. I'd say he wouldn't say no to a drop of Baileys anyway.
Who among us would?
Exactly. Fuck the brandy and Baileys. That came from a Dr. David Martin. Make his pets do poppers. Poppers. They get some fucking land. Well, look, I'm going to have to wrap up the stream, but thanks very much for coming on. I've had a fantastic chat with you, and you're always welcome to come on anytime.
Awesome, brother. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
What's it? CM Fox says, I have a big gland on the back of my neck. So, there you go. You heard it from the man himself.
Yeah.
But it's been fantastic. We've got two guests from the States. I like it's a very international show. Don't really get many down in Australia though, probably because of the time difference. They're probably in bed when I'm doing it. But thanks very much for coming on. Yeah, and if you've got anywhere that people can follow you, give them a shout out.
Oh boy, most of it's hidden. Well, yeah, you can find me on Instagram. Matt Strangeways is the real name. I'll tell you where I'll send you all to go.
Give us a shout out though.
If y'all are interested, I used to be a bit of a musician, and I had a band called Greenhaven. One word, Green. Chaos in the background. Look on Greenhaven. You can find it everywhere: YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, and Rock Hard. You'll enjoy it, or you won't. But don't blame.
Sorry about that. I have to say, he's a very intelligent cat. So there's a bag of dry food that's been put up there. And he managed to tip the dry food over and perfectly land the food into a bowl.
They're advancing pretty soon.
They are, yeah. Maybe he was licking toads.
Right, he's licking the toad and seeing the elves.
So, Matt Strangeways, you're on Instagram or YouTube?
Yeah. I was telling him Matt Strangeways. The E is not after the G; it's after the Y. You can find Matt Strangeways author on Instagram, and then I was just sending them to my band, my old band. I'm long retired, but for some reason the band is more popular now than ever. It was called Greenhaven, and you can find it anywhere. You can find it on my Stay Green Ponyboy channel. Look it up or don't.
Yeah, give a subscribe to Matt. But hey, and hopefully we'll get this. Get me over to Arizona, as people would say.
while I got you here, the 5-second pitch. They are ready, bro. They want you there. I think that we can get you over. We'll make sure your flights and all that's taken care of. You see if you got 1 or 2 people, I think we can get you paid to cover all of that. And
Sweet.
the guy who I know, who's the older guy, they all want to bring you. The girls in the office now, they're calling me and they're like, "Can we talk next week on the phone? Can you get Martin on the phone?" I'm like, "No." And but
Yeah.
they're for real. And the guy who runs it that I know, I just saw in the paper last week, his brother sold his construction company in Las Vegas for 2B, not M. 2B. So if you're in a producer role other than just talent,
yeah, well, that would a couple of, if he needs to offset some of those tax credits, he could definitely sponsor a few projects.
I only know Paul. I don't know his brother. Yeah, I think Sammy is still in here. Last I heard, I thought he was back in. No, he's doing a show. I think he still is here. His sister has a restaurant not far from here.
Hey, is it that Italian food?
Yeah, it is. Sal's, it's called.
Sal's. We'll have to swing by there and be on our best behavior.
Absolutely. Well, we're tied in with all the Italians here too. You know, Danny Marinino, the guy who punched out Glenn Danzig.
Oh yeah, the Latin Kings guy, was it?
Oh no, he's Northside Kings.
Oh, Northside Kings. Yeah, Latin Kings. They're Swedish hip hop thing.
No,
the Northside Kings.
It's a gang.
Yeah.
But anyway, Danny's big in the Italian American community in Arizona, so we'll be good with them. And Danny's one of my best friends.
Jeez, Danzig folded. That was another one of those legendary videos back in the day.
Yeah.
The speed in which he was vanquished was.
Yeah, all the people in that video are my friends. Danny just put out a new book. I'll give you a shout out for that. It's called "It Blows My Mind," and I edited it. So if you Google "It Blows My Mind," you'll find a hilarious book with funny cartoons.
It blows my mind. I was going to say, if you try and get Don Fry and Rob Schneider, that'd be two great guests.
If you really want to do it. But we'll talk up there. But if you want to either be on his show or just to get him for your show, I think they're both doable. Especially be on your show. He has some health issues, but I think he's doing pretty good right now. And he's just down in Tucson, so it's
nice.
I mean, barring something weird, you know, Don's a good dude, and I think that would be really good. English guy, Sammy the Bull. He was New York, not English, but he ran pills. I don't know who the other one was.
What was the English guy that ran? What was the English guy that ran pills in Arizona called? Oh, was that Sean Atwood?
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had a YouTube channel. Is that who we're talking about? Yeah,
Sean Atwood. He did a lot of stuff with Ryan Dawson as well.
Yes, right. I remember that guy.
Yeah, Sean Atwood. Yeah, just to confirm that. Nice dog you have there in the. Looks like a really nice, cozy. Is that Labrador or a retriever? And hey, we got Texas Pete back again. Fair play to Texas Pete. Great guests tonight, and again the chat has been fantastic as well. It's nice to get on. I was hoping to do a couple of streams over the last few days, but unfortunately, I didn't get around to it. But I was hoping to do 2 gigs at the weekend as well. But again, the ex-wife won't help me. So I have to turn down a gig on Friday night, but I will be if I am not gigging on Friday night, which is looking doubtful, I'll do a live stream as well. But yeah, thanks very much, Matt, for coming on, and to Texas Pete as well. And yeah, do have a word with those lads if you can get Rob Schneider. Oh, I'm a carrot. If we get him on as well, he's coming up with some, you know, he gets what's going on. He can see it as well.
Yeah, he does. Well, when we start getting closer, and we'll dial it in, and we'll start making phone calls.
Yeah, that'd be sweet, man. Well, once again, thanks very much, Matt, for coming on, and hit me up on the behind the scenes, and we'll get stuff going. Yes, but I'm gonna finish up here now, and thanks very much for everyone who has watched and contributed, and always a pleasure to chat to you. And have a nice night. And if I'm not doing a gig, I will be doing a gig. I will do a live stream on Friday, and we'll have the crack. Time for a cheeky live, no Martin. There's none left. Rob Schneider knows well the crack. Oh, All right. Well, good night. God bless you all. Have a wonderful time, and we will see you at the end of the week, hopefully. But good stuff, everybody. Good night to you. Take care, and I really do mean take care.